All right. It is back day. Once again, I'm going to be focusing on mainly row type movements. Um, I will hit some lats as well with like pull downs and maybe a row that like emphasizes the lats, but um, mainly working on thickness of my mid and upper back. So that's the goal. Training intensity. I think a lot of people lack, true intensity when they work out. It's, I think that's probably in like recreational lifters, I would say is the main thing that is keeping them from building any muscle. Or maybe not building no muscle, but, beginning of the year to end of the year, you look pretty similar. If your goal was to change that and you're going to the gym to change that, if you didn't make any progress, there's one or more variables that you just missed. And from my experience and what I've seen, is most of the time it's intensity. And a big thing is food, but I feel like most people know that. And at least in the newbie gain phase of lifting, you can definitely make gains without eating, a ton of food, especially without bulking. Definitely not a necessity to put on muscle. But once you get past that stage of newbie gains and kind of your first couple years of lifting, that's when you have to really hone in on the food. But that's not totally a huge issue, I would say, compared to intensity. I think a lot of people lack like total effort, and they misjudge their effort a lot of the times. I've seen people and they work out and they're like, man, that was hard. And they probably could have done easy 10 more reps, if not more. Like it looked like barely a struggle. Now, that's not the most conclusive way because external effort isn't always measured the same way from people to people. But a lot of the times, if you're trying to gain muscle, you gotta train hard. And it's really just about if you are making faces and making noise near the end of your set, you might be trying hard enough. You're probably trying hard enough. And we know now, based on research, that you don't have to get to failure to make the optimal gains. But every once in a while, you should challenge yourself and really get to the point where you cannot complete another rep. No matter how uncomfortable it is, you get to the point of that last rep is so grindingly difficult that you can't muster any more strength through it. And that way, you know where your limit is with whatever weight you're using. And if you reach that failure point at, 25 reps, you might want to up the weight. So it's, you want to be within 1 to 3 reps in reserve, which just means like how many reps left you had until reaching the failure point. And, how are you going to know that if you've never trained a failure? So I would say, maybe once, if you're in the vein of training in reps in reserve, I would say maybe once every week, every 2 weeks, hit a set till complete muscular failure and see where you stand, because you may have gotten stronger from the last week and you can up the weight again. If you've just been counting, 12 reps, okay, 12 reps with blah 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 weight, this is what I have to do, that's how many I have until 3 reps in reserve. Well, that could change from week to week, especially if you're on a mass gaining phase, you're trying to eat more. That can change really quick. So every couple of weeks I would try and hit a set till full failure to see where you stand, and train with moderate to extreme intensity. I think that would be the most conducive to gains compared to just kind of going through the motions, or the pump and fluff style, like, you do a bajillion reps. Remember, reps do not chisel muscle. That's not how it works. It's not train heavy to bulk and train light to cut or to tone, as some people say. Toning is just getting leaner, and you can't get leaner by exercising or certain exercises. You have to get leaner by eating less. And same thing with training heavier. You don't get bigger muscles because you can lift more. I mean, there's plenty of power lifters that don't have the most impressive muscle size, but can lift extreme amount of weight, especially compared to their body weight. So that's definitely not conducive to muscle gain either. So you kind of have to find the balance of hypertrophy that is best for you. Some people love training heavy, some people love training light, but I mean, is it love because it's easy, or is it love because it feels good on your joints? And is it actually taxing to that muscle? Because at least for me, when I did powerlifting, I wouldn't really get sore all that much. It wasn't really a good enough stimulus to put on a lot of muscle size. It was strength training, which is different. So, but when I changed to kind of bodybuilding style, hypertrophy training, where I toned the weight back and I really focused on the stretch and the contraction, my muscles blew up. So, and my strength didn't go down very much. You had to taper down to get into those ranges of motion that you aren't comfortable with. But once you're comfortable, the strength just barrels right back up. I mean, I assume if you were in powerlifting, that's how it works. But when you do hypertrophy training, hypertrophy is how you build muscle. So it's not really, to be honest, it's not really about what you like. Because if I'm being honest, if I trained how I liked, I probably wouldn't look the way I do. Because liking is comfortable. Training for building muscle is not very comfortable. So you can love the process, but if you love the pain that is caused in the gym, that's a bit much. It's a bit edgy for me, but I know we all got to cope somehow. But I would definitely say that training with intensity should be a top priority. If you're even in a cut, in a bulk, in a maintenance phase, in anything, you should be training with intensity. Where your joints are comfortable, but your muscles aren't. That's kind of the way I've found to describe it is, if your joints are uncomfortable, then you're doing the movement wrong, or it's not a good movement for you. If your muscles are uncomfortable, you're probably getting a good stimulus on them. So, difficulty of exercise does not mean that it's good for gaining muscle. It's the multiple factors in that. So, but other than that, I'll see you guys inside. So I chose a narrow grip this time, or not narrow, but neutral grip. Just because it targets different parts of the lats than a wider bar will target your lower lats. These target like the mid, close to your arm. That weird like U-shaped muscle in the back, rear back double bicep. I will do probably 3 or 4 more of these, and after this one I'll probably progressively get lighter or go lighter, just to maintain a similar rep scheme. Yeah, holding that stretch at the very top is just, after the whole set, is brutal. Probably go down to like 220 and then 200, something like that. So the only warm-up I did was the about half the stack, and just did about 15 slower controlled reps throughout the whole range of motion, and then progressively got heavier. Not super quickly, but Oh, felt like mainly my forearms gave out on that one. I think 180 should be fine. 150 is a little light. I like doing flexion rows. It's where, you know, you bend your back. You don't want to use like momentum to like kip the weight up, but it just allows a better stretch. And I have to use, it also allows you to use less weight, so you're less likely to get injured. But you want it to be one fluid motion of pulling the weight and straightening your back. You're not trying to straighten your back and then use momentum to get the weight the rest of the way up. I might even go a little bit lighter. Just to get a few more. Because with these grips, I like these grips, but I only fatigue. My grip only fatigues when I go, too heavy. So I'll back it down even more. Let's see where we're at. Yeah, this machine too. I like doing this one alternating. Yeah, other than the warm-up set, I like doing them both, but I get a way better stretch. I can kind of twist and really stretch even like my mid-back musculature. But then when I contract, I can really wrap my shoulder around and squeeze even my mid-back. I like the higher grips because even in the stretch, I don't bottom the machine out. I know it's a little bit easier from there, but I just add more weight to kind of compensate a little bit. But like, nobody cares that there's 4 plates on each side. Like that sounded impressive lift. um, but I really care about that deep stretch. And plus it being chest supported, you can really wrap around without, your back or your, like your stabilizers being the limiting factor. So, might do one more of these and then do I'll probably do some side delts actually. Some reverse curls and side delts sound fun. So okay. Yeah, doing this at the end, the weight is definitely catching up to me, fatigue-wise. All right, one more. I felt that one in my lower back. I see why some people wear a belt on this. All right. This is a pretty good back day. Those last rows just ruined my lower back. I couldn't even stand. So I might hit some side delts and forearms when I get home instead. But we'll run through a few poses and see how we're looking. Maybe this side. Yeah, that looks a little bit better. Yeah, but as I pack on size, I'm gonna look crazier and crazier, and then when I cut, that's gonna be insane because I'm already relatively lean up here still, and I doubt I'm gonna be adding a whole lot of fat to my extremities. But when I cut, I'm gonna trim off, all the water and mainly everything around here. See how narrow my waist actually is. Because like right now, I don't mind. Oh, whoops, sorry. I don't mind being a little fluffy during the winter, but really narrowing the midsection will make me look pretty freaky because I already have pretty broad shoulders as it is. But cutting down, getting like that Christmas tree. Just gonna look crazy. But other than that, I think that is another day completed. I'll see you guys next time.